Hello students, and welcome to our amazing lesson about copyright and what it means to be under copyright law and what it also means to use items in fair use or in public domain. So our learning objectives for today, students will be able to define copyright along with its importance. Students will be able to define and apply what it means by fair use as well as public domain. Students will be able to conduct research without breaking copyright laws and give credit to original creators. And students will be able to understand and define the consequences of plagiarism and copyright infringement. First off, why are we learning this? Why is this important to understand? As part of your generation, sometimes what happens is that you see something really cool and exciting on the internet and that you want to share with your friends, or maybe that you want to kind of impose onto your own image, or maybe a part of a song that you really like that you want to use as part of your video. However, everything on the internet, whether you give credit or credit not, is under copyright law. So whether it's a random discussion that you found on Reddit that you thought was really insightful or cool, maybe it was a YouTube video about a gamer that you saw online and that you thought they'd done something really awesome or cool, or maybe it's a great post or picture from Instagram, doesn't mean that you can use it without their permission. You can't even use those memes that you see on the internet without their permission as well. Everything on the internet is copyrighted unless it's stated otherwise. So you just can't copy and paste a photo that you found on the internet and present it in your project. It's important to give credit to those creators, as well as making sure that those creators get the financial benefits that you are offering to them too. So some important definitions. One of the things that I've often learned is sometimes we don't really understand exactly what plagiarism is or even what copyright means. Oftentimes we kind of interchange these two definitions when they are actually very, very different. Copyright is a type of intellectual property that protects original works of authorship as soon as an author fixes the work in a tangible form of expression, meaning that when that idea is in the creation mode, when it's been presented. Copyright law, there's lots of different types of work, so it's not just text. It could be paintings, photographs, illustrations, musical compositions, sound recordings, computer programs, books, poems, blog posts, movies, architectural works, plays, and so much more. So, for instance, I'm taking a quote as actually from the U.S. Copyright Law Office, so given to us from the government, so this is actually a quote that I am using. However, since I am giving that quote credit where it's due, it is okay. It's not going to be counted as plagiarism. So also the thing with copyright versus plagiarism is that although you cited and gave credit to the creator, if you didn't get permission, it would be considered a copyright violation since you're taking someone else's work, copying it, and sharing it. Now, plagiarism is taking someone else's words or ideas and then claiming them as your own. So for instance, on the left, if I said, all of this is something that I created, that would be plagiarism. If I log into Wikipedia and I'm doing a research project, I copy and paste different lines from Wikipedia into my own essay, that's plagiarism. If, however, say for instance, I'm reading a very awesome article about maybe the planet of Pluto, but I correctly cite and give credit to the creator and say, for instance, it's just a quote and not necessarily like the entire thing, it's okay to use. That's okay. And as long as I'm presenting it, maybe somebody had a really great idea and I'm presenting it as their idea and not my own, that's also okay as long as I'm giving credit to it. But copyright deals with how much of that creation you're using. Now here, for your projects, what can we do? This kind of feels pretty stifling if you can't use any pictures from the internet. Do not worry. First step is that, say for instance, you're really wanting to use a song in your project, you can ask them. So if they give you permission, say for instance, you message Taylor Swift on Instagram and ask her if you could use Delicate, the song, on your project, and she says, yes, you may use it and gives you the freedom to use it, great, awesome. However, most of the time whenever you're trying to communicate with these creators, they're not going to have time to respond in time for you to submit your project, nor is Taylor Swift going to be checking her Instagram messages from you. So sorry to tell you that all. However, we can also use so many sources called from public domain, and they're free for you to use. And we could also follow the rules of what's called fair use. So both of these, which we'll get into right now. First one is public domain. If a work is in public domain, it means that the work is owned by the public itself. You do not need permission to use it. Sometimes works are copyrighted that's been expired. Oftentimes it just depends on the law and making sure that you're particular to it and understanding of what's going on and get clearance for it. But sometimes after the creator has died, after 70 years, then it's under public domain. And it depends how long the work itself has been out there as well. Also, some government pictures, so say for instance of the NASA landing on the moon, or maybe it's government files, those are also part of public domain. Also with good reason too, the public deserves that information. So it's very important that the government allows that kind of resources to be online and for us to access and use it. I've put a few places to look for public domain pictures. The most commonly used one is creativecommons.org, Gutenberg, the Met Museum, and also Pexels is another one. You could also find other works that are under public domain through a Google search. That's also very, very useful, and you have to set the parameters to make sure it's under public domain, but that's also easy to do too. Now, fair use allows people to use copyrighted materials but only under certain conditions. However, there are many gray areas to fair use. It can be quite subjective, so just need to be careful whenever you're thinking about these things. And the areas of fair use are amount, purpose, nature, and effect. First one is amount. So for instance, say you see hear a really cool song on the internet and you love that song and you want it to be part of your book trailer, you can maybe use like a small part of the work, maybe like 10 seconds of a song, and maybe keep that on repeat, or maybe like if you're making a mix of something. The thing is that this can also be very subjective because of the next thing. So like, for instance, you cannot use the heart of a work of art. So say those 10 seconds, what if that's the heart of the song? What if that's the main beat of the song that you're using, and you're technically then stealing from that person? Maybe there's a 5-10 second clip of the song Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift. That's going to be great to use. However, if you dare take that entire bridge of the song, everyone knows that bridge of the song. That's the heart of the song. You can't use that. Or maybe the chorus of a song, you cannot use the chorus because that's going to be the heart of what it is. So this is one of those things that you just have to be careful about. Purpose. Now, the other thing about fair use and purpose is that it can also be quite subjective too. You have to make sure that whatever you're creating, it transforms that original work. Therefore, like, it's a new expression of the original. Maybe, for instance, like this kind of leads into territory of whether you're trying to teach a lesson. What if I'm using Spirited Away to teach about symbolism? Well, I'm transforming that work into order to make sure that I'm teaching y'all a lesson about symbolism rather than maybe just the complete movie itself. Or maybe you're writing a review of Asteroid City, a movie that was released last week. Well, you need to refer to bits and pieces of that movie or part of that film in order to like critically understand what's going on. You're not trying to like steal it, or you need to be able to publicly critique it. This is also going to go into territory about free speech, because it's also very important for us as, United States citizens that we have free speech, that we are able to critique works of art and be able to get a sense of understanding of what they're trying to do here. Also, you have a favorite of mine, a parody. You got Weird Al and his music, where, yeah, he's making a song that's ripped off of another song, but he's completely transforming it and kind of making it into a satire and making fun of it. So it's kind of a different tale instead of the original song. Next one is the nature of it. When analyzing the original work, think of the creativity behind it. The original work is nonfiction or factual, then typically it's going to be a little bit easier to use and stuff, because we, of course, as people in the United States, we need access to that news sources. Those are facts. That's not somebody creating those facts. So that's not going to be quite as legislated under copyright law. So when you're looking at what you're using, think whether it's original work, whether it's super, super creative, or whether or not it's nonfiction or taking from facts. Also, the effect of it. Now, this kind of goes into the finances of things. So, like, say for instance, if your work is impacting the financial gains of the original creator, if it's having any kind of negative effect towards them. One of the big examples that I've seen quite a lot is with Shein. Shein is a very large corporation that creates a ton of clothes at a very fast pace. However, a lot of their clothes and designs are actually stolen from actual artists. And those actual artists who have created that work don't get any of the financial benefits of what Shein is using. So if you go online and you buy that cute shirt from Shein, think, all right, did somebody else create that? And they're working really, really hard to make these cool designs, but not getting any kind of recognition. But also think about if Shein's using it, they're making tons of money off that shirt. That original creator's probably not making any money. So think about it this way. You spent months working on a short film and finally shared it for the world to see. Hooray, that's awesome. However, a few days later or a week later or whenever later, you see that someone else has taken large clips of your film or your entire film. How would you feel? You feel tricked and duped and would not feel good. So part of this is protecting creators, but it's also making sure that they're protected and that they can keep on creating without being violated, and that we as consumers can also critique and use safely. Okay, so this is beneficial to us all. Thank you guys so much, and I wish you the best of luck in your copyright projects.